What's going on, guys? Welcome back and welcome to your stimulus check update, infrastructure package update, and daily news report for Wednesday, May 5th. Now, we have some major news that has come out over the past couple of days. We also have some major news that came out last night that I really want to address as well. First, the White House has finally responded to their stance on the fourth stimulus check. So I want to address that. I'm going to address that first. We're also going to talk about how the Education Secretary spoke on what the current plans are in regarding student loans. We're going to address how one state will be canceling, and I mean canceling, all federal unemployment benefits, and this is going to happen about 2.5 months early, so you got to be kind of cautious of what's going to happen there. We have a group of Democrats that are pushing President Biden to include a first-time homebuyer's credit like he promised of up to $20,000, and progressives are calling on President Biden to lower the Medicare age to 55, and this is actually for a very good reason. Some experts say this could work. So this is what we're going to talk about today. If you can, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. So let's first talk about what the White House said regarding the fourth stimulus check, because I know a lot of people are asking, a lot of people want to know, how likely is it that a fourth stimulus check is going to happen? I've said this multiple times in the past. I'm going to continue to say it. And I'm going to address what the White House says, but what you need to understand is that what experts are currently saying is a stimulus check might not happen, okay, a stimulus check, but we might see additional tax credits. We might see additional relief in other ways, other forms. That's not typically a stimulus check, but it will do the exact same job. So the stimulus check is going to be disguised into something else, right? So here's what the White House said. The White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, she was asked yesterday whether or not a fourth stimulus check is being considered, right? This is something we've been wanting to know for a while. Here's what she said. She says, and I quote, "We'll see what members of Congress propose, but those are not free." Now, there is nothing that is currently free, right? Infrastructure is not free. Somebody has to pay for it. But what Jen Psaki is saying is that no, stimulus checks are not free, so it just depends on what Congress will propose. What we do know is that multiple people in Congress currently want a fourth stimulus check. Some want a $2,000 one-time payment. Others want a $2,000 one-time payment followed by $1,000 stimulus checks. Others want $2,000 per month as a recurring payment to the American people. So there are currently proposals and ideas and there's movement regarding a fourth stimulus check. Jen Psaki is just saying, we'll see what members of Congress propose because those are not free. Okay. What I can tell you is that the $1,400 stimulus checks are going to cost roughly $422 billion. So a handful of lawmakers at this time will not go for another spending package like that. Okay, we know that, and that's perfectly fine. Now, here's what experts are saying. Experts are saying what is doable is passing a bill for additional stimulus checks that's anywhere between $200 to $250 billion. That's doable, but it all depends on how the economy is doing, how the economy is actually recovering. So, some economists are saying that the economy is going to have a huge boost once the child tax credit starts going. That is going to start happening in July, according to the IRS. We also know that lawmakers are already talking about extending that child tax credit, that $3,000 and $3,600 child tax credit, not just from 2021, this is a one-time deal, but possibly extending it 4 more years until 2025. And if passed, or this is what Jen Psaki says, if passed, and I quote, "If passed, the families of tens of millions of children will continue to get regular payments. Obviously, we're continuing to evaluate what their needs are to continue to get the pandemic under control, people back to work, but we think that's a proposal with a long-term benefit." But here's what experts are saying. Experts said, and multiple experts said this exact same thing, without children Now, people without children are going to be negatively impacted by all this relief. We're going to see inflation. Janet Yellen mentioned this. Warren Buffett has mentioned this. Okay, we know inflation is coming. We've already seen it. Okay, it's here, but it's going to be, here to stay for a little while. So, experts say that they don't think Congress will pass an additional round of stimulus checks before their August recess, simply because many are saying that right now inflation's going to come, it's going to go, but chances are we don't see real inflation until 2022. So this is what some experts are saying, is a fourth stimulus check is very likely. However, it's not as likely to happen in 2021. If we see it, it would happen at the end of 2021 or the early part of 2022, which some are saying that we don't want to see this because this is kind of a good news, bad news situation. The good news is we'd get a stimulus check. The bad news is it would be coming because the economy is worsening. Okay, so that's kind of what we're getting. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are wanting additional stimulus checks. I know a lot of people need it, but here's the issue is, how do we pay for it? Who pays for it? When does it get paid for? And are we getting a stimulus check just because, or is it actually going for a purpose? Is it going to us because we need it? Because the economy is getting worse off than it once was? That's what some experts are saying. So even though Jen Psaki in the White House came out and said, we'll see what Congress proposes, what I can tell you is that what Congress is proposing is give the American people more relief now, let the American people spend it, let the American people prop up the economy, and then we will truly see, when all the jobs start coming back, we will truly see how much this stimulus helped. So that is what we know right there. But as always, I promise I'll keep you updated on any new information that we get. Now, one thing that lawmakers are trying to do at this time is they're trying to provide relief through different ways. We know Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he wants to see student loan forgiveness. But as of yesterday, the Education Secretary said he's considering extending the student loan payment deferral or possibly resuming payments, however, at a 0% interest rate. So there's different talks, there's different options. However, as of right now, all the talks are on payments and interest over completely forgiving student loans or student loan debts. So as of right now, there are some Democrats that are a little bit triggered by this because they've been pushing for student loan forgiveness. This is actually something that President Biden said as a campaign promise that he would do, is forgive up to $10,000 in student loan debt. However, at this time, it doesn't seem like that's something he's willing to do. And this also makes me wonder, okay, well, if President Biden won't do student loan forgiveness, and that was a campaign promise, that was what he was running on to become president. People probably voted for him because they had student loan debt and they wanted to get that forgiven. Well, what is going to happen with the Social Security boost of $200 per month? What happens there? Is this just another campaign promise that another president completely lied on? Possibly. We don't know. But getting back to student loan forgiveness, what we do know at this time is we have until September 30th. That is the current date of the student loan payment freeze. That's when it expires. So, again, as we know more there, I promise I will fill you in on all those details as well. As of right now, there's not a lot going on. The Education Secretary, provided us with a little brief update, but again, not much. Just kind of his inner thoughts, what is currently being proposed and what they are currently thinking. But again, we will know more. September 30th will come very soon, and I will fill you in on all those details. But here's something that I found last night that I thought was extremely interesting. It could potentially give people a $1,200 back to work bonus. Okay, here's what we know. Yesterday, Montana's governor decided to pretty much have a plan in place to stop federal unemployment benefits. This means that the $300 per week in unemployment, or as an unemployment boost from the federal government, people in Montana will not receive this after June 27th. This also means that gig workers and long-term jobless people will stop getting benefits as well. Again, this ends on June 27th. Montana's governor says, and I quote, "The vast expansion of federal unemployment benefits is now doing more harm than good." And he says that the labor shortage is likely due to the extreme benefits coming from the federal government. However, the U.S. Labor Department says it was disappointed by Montana's decision and that unemployment benefits aren't keeping people out of the labor force. There's actually no indication that that is true. Now, I know I don't have a lot of people inside the community that live in Montana, and I try to address all these little things that are happening. This is pretty big, and the reason I say this is because of this. And the reason I bring this up is because Montana is just one state, okay? But Montana is the first state that has decided to just cancel federal unemployment bonuses in this boost, this kind of expansion or extension of it. And the reason I bring this up is because other states could follow along very soon, do this exact same thing. And if they do, this is going to hurt millions and millions of people. Okay, right now, I think Montana has like a 3 to 4% unemployment rate, so they're doing better than the majority of the United States. But at the same time, cutting off people from unemployment benefits is huge, especially when it's $300 per week, especially when it's $300 plus your state unemployment benefits. Because you need to understand, in Montana, they're going to cut off the long-term jobless and gig workers, and that's going to be huge. That's going to be detrimental to many people. So, as I know more on this, I promise I will fill you in on all those details as well. I know a lot of people will be hurt by this, but this is currently what is being discussed over in Montana. Now, one thing I do want to address is Montana's governor said that the funds that are saved from this program will actually, from this American Rescue Plan program, will actually be used towards a return to work bonus. So people who move from unemployment into jobs, okay, they are saying that workers receiving unemployment benefits as of this week would be eligible for a $1,200 payment if they take a job and remain employed for at least 4 weeks. So, kind of an incentive to get back to work. Now, speaking of additional relief, of more relief, here's something else we know. President Biden had a plan when he was running for president that he would give first-time home buyers a tax credit to help them purchase a home. This was considered something that was great. This would be perfect because many first-time home buyers, let's say somebody in their 20s or 30s, they're struggling to come up with the down payment. Let's say you buy a $100,000 house. If you can find a $100,000 house, I'm just using $100,000 because it's simple math. Let's say you need a $100,000 house. You're going to put down, let's say, 5%. You need $5,000, right? Well, let's say you're going to buy a $250,000 house. You're going to put down the same, 5%. Well, at $250,000, now you need what? $12,500. Do you see why it's very difficult for first-time home buyers to get into a home? Because right now, okay, kind of where I live here in Washington State, the houses are, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. So if a first-time home buyer is going to come in, let's say in the Seattle area, and try to buy a home for $500,000, okay, at 5% down, okay, they're going to need $25,000. But if you need 20% down, let's say you can do a conventional loan, 20% down, well, now you need $100,000. How many people right now have $100,000 just sitting in the bank? Very few people, okay? Now, Democrats are pushing forward with President Biden's plan, even though he hasn't really done it much. Democrats are pushing forward. Recently, many lawmakers are deciding to push forward with not $15,000 like President Biden proposed, but they want to do $20,000 in assistance for qualified buyers. Now, in this plan, it stipulates that first-time home buyers could get this amount, and that 20% of this amount would actually be waived for every single year they live in the home. And after 5 years, you would not have to pay back the government anything. You would just completely have that free $20,000 and you can go and live your life. That's pretty good. Now, here here's the big issue and the downfall with this, okay? With this additional assistance, online mortgage lender Better is actually saying that roughly 4.37, I believe, 4.4 million people would be eligible for this payment assistance. Meaning that if an additional 4.4 million people are now eligible for this type of program and can start getting a loan, this means that we are going to see, or pretty soon, entry-level homes and their prices shoot up. So even though this assistance is considered a good thing, the problem is with this assistance, it's going to make first-time home buyers, first-time or entry-level homes more expensive. There's going to be more competition, which means the prices are going to go up because the supply is so low, and that's going to create another issue. Okay, that's going to create people where people are overspending. They're spending too much money. They're overpaying for a property, and maybe putting money in or as a slight down payment is actually just bringing it back to value, so they're not upside down in their loan. So we'll see what happens there. But again, right now this is going to make things more expensive, and this is also one of the reasons why lawmakers are pushing for additional relief. They say right now there's not enough homes. There's not enough homes that are actually livable, okay, that are affordable. Those are two issues. But speaking of other things, speaking of things that lawmakers are pushing for, we now know that progressives are urging President Biden to lower the Medicare age or eligibility age from 65 or 60 down to 55. And they actually have a good reason for this. And many experts are saying that this could possibly work. According to multiple reports, many Americans had to go into early retirement due to this pandemic. And because of this, millions of people who left or were forced out of the workforce into retirement now have to wait several years before they can even qualify for Medicare. That's becoming a big issue. So progressives are saying that this is not only creating better care, better health care, providing the elderly with some relief and some assistance, but this is the right thing to do for millions who, through no fault of their own, were forced into the positions they are currently in where they cannot go and work. So experts say that the push from progressives could actually work, and this would be a great path towards Medicare for all. That is currently what's being discussed. That's currently what's being talked about, is that right now there's a path forward, a clear path that experts say could be taken advantage of. And as of right now, it looks like Democrats and progressives are. So this is what we're hearing right now. But as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you have a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. If you can, go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on. And I'll see you guys on the next one.